In this Monster Hunter Wilds video, I'm going to be showing you my early game evasive focus build. This build is designed to help players progress into the high ranks early on with a solid all-around setup that works across multiple weapons. You can use this build fairly early into the high ranks. Upon hitting high rank, it takes about 5 relatively easy hunts to be able to get this set off the ground, and it should serve as a strong foundation before transitioning into your permanent set later on. This build utilizes a combination of the Balahara Alpha and Beta set to provide excellent evasion, iframes, and distance while offering high stamina regeneration, allowing you to stay in the fights much longer. We also use the Shata Clobber. This weapon is interchangeable depending on the weapon that you're using, and this weapon provides solid damage and even a bit of blue sharpness, ensuring you can deal good damage early in high ranks without heavily investing into a weapon set. The build is fluid, easy to assemble, and it should get you started quickly. Let me show you how to make it. Alright, so now we are on the build section of the video, and I want to say 2 very quick things before we dive into it. First off, apologies about the footage. Unfortunately, like half of the Steam reviews, I'm having some performance issues that you could probably come to expect, so the quality of the video is going to be probably about medium-ish. Unfortunately, I tend to like to record in higher, but it just is what it is. And then the second thing I want to point out is this build is very evasive focused. I didn't specifically put a weapon behind it because you can use multiple weapons for the build, but you are going to probably use more evasive focused weapons, and you're going to use something like a block weapon, so like my sword and shield, lance, those kind of people. You're probably not going to get as much value. You could probably work around with a great sword, for example, or something like that, but this is going to be probably closer to like my hammers, my switch axes, you know, those people who use evasive focus builds. This is kind of a blanket build to get you started early on. So first things first, let's go over the gear and the decorations and things of the sort. So I'm gonna start with the weapon first because this one's gonna be interchangeable. As I said in the intro, this is probably gonna be depending on the weapon you're using, but you're probably gonna focus more towards evasive focus weapons, things like switch axes, charge blades, weapons that, well, charge blade kind of has a guard point, but you know what I mean, the ones who don't have like guard points and stuff like that, that's gonna pretty much evade. But anyway, Chata Cobbler is what we're using. You can use the Chata Cobbler set as well. I like it because it's the first monster. It isn't going to require too much investment. He's super easy to kill, and it's the first thing that you're going to probably kill in high rank. And this comes naturally with Stamina Thief and Charge Up, and I'll show you exactly what that is. Charge Up is going to give, for my hammer users, it's going to give you more charge, more stun on your charge hammer attacks, what you're going to be doing most of. And then it's going to give you Stamina Thief, which is going to make it easier for you to exhaust monsters. I put a slugger gem in here because, well, it comes with a 2 and a 1 decoration slot. I may say gem sometimes. It's just bad habit, but decorations, and then it'll make it easier for you to stun. And then we put a 1 Stamina Thief in here so we can get it to level 2. That's what we're using. Again, make sure you change for your weapon specifically what you're going to use. Obviously, don't use a stun gem on something that's a slicing style weapon. So yeah, just keep that in mind. For the head, we're using the Balahara Helm B Beta, and the reason why we're using this is because it came with a pretty solid gem slot, and I wanted to put a destroyer gem here specifically. And what Part Breaker does is it just makes it easier for you to break large parts, which in my opinion is really important right now in this point in the game, because at this point in the game you're trying to get prepared to do your end game, and if you're breaking parts and you're getting wounds and things like that, you're probably going to get more resources, and it's going to make it easier for you to essentially snowball. So that's kind of the theme of the build: easy, accessible, something you can use really early, and something that can help you facilitate growth. Hopefully you guys understand that that's the core purpose of the build. You're also going to get extra damage dealt when you're focus striking. You're always going to be focus striking. So I would recommend, if you're going with a build like this, go with Destroyer, because Hammer is going to break parts anyway. And this is going to give you more options for more damage and more options for pieces, so you can actually start farming. Now the helmet naturally comes with Evade Window, and this is going to give you very slightly increases to Invulnerability Window. We do have other pieces that's going to give us more benefit towards it, but having the evade window is going to make it easier for you to dodge those roars, easier for you to dodge attacks, and that's why I like it, because, you know, I play a lot of Souls games and I like dodging. For our chest, we're going to be using Stamina Surge. It's going to make it easier for us to get more stamina. Marathon Runner, whenever we're running, is going to make it easier for our stamina sustain, because we're not losing a lot of stamina. We do have Geologist in it. It came with this, but I mean, obviously we're still early on in the high ranks. And having a little bit of gathering is not a bad option. I know people don't like only things but damage, but I actually think having the ability to gather and get items are pretty damn good. And it's fine because it has stamina surge in it as well, and then it has evade extender, and it's going to make it easier for you to evade from a longer distance of evasion. So I felt like that was more valuable than having a slot that I couldn't fill out. So that's why I'm using the Van Brace. And then we're using the Balahara Coil Alpha, and this one has evade window as well as evade extender. Once again, not having any decoration slots, but again, you don't really need it because you don't have any decorations this early on that's really worth a damn for the most part, and just having that utility is more valuable to me. For our leggings, we're using the Balahara Beta Greaves for it. And the reason we're using this is mainly because we wanted to have a good amount of decorations that had a good amount of ones here. And I picked up a handful of things that I think were useful. First, we went with a protection jewel. The protection jewel is going to give you divine blessing. This is just going to give you a % chance to get damage reduction. I don't know what the % chance is, but I know it procs pretty regularly. We also have a physique jewel. This is going to give us constitution, reduce depletion on blocking, evading, and things like that. Those are things that we do. We always do evasion, so it works really well. I know this seemed like a lot of overkill into stamina investment, but I mean, at this point in the game, you can't really be, like, beggars can't be choosy. It's kind of what you're going with. It's really not too much. We're going to min-max later, so that's the idea. And then we went with an adapt jewel, and the reason for this is it negates the effect of heat and cold. Right now, you're in the point in the game where you're probably going around and just killing as much as possible. And the last thing I think you want to do is put resources into, like, dealing with cold and dealing with heat is annoying. It requires one jewel to fix it, and I think quality of life is something that's super important in Monster Hunter early on. Once you min-max out and you have everything you need, of course you can swap all this stuff out, but I definitely think using an adapt jewel has been really beneficial. I don't have to worry about cold, I don't have to worry about heat. It's been really, really nice for me. So that's what we're using for our armor sets. Interchange it based on what you have, but I feel like these are fairly easy jewels to get, and it doesn't even take that many to be pretty functional. For our talisman, we're using the Evasion Charm 2. Now, the reason why we're using this is because it comes with Evade Window. And with the Evade Window 2, this is going to give us 2 more, and as you can see in total, whenever we have all that in, we're going to have Evade Window level 4. And as you can see with Evade Window level 4, this greatly increases your invulnerability windows. So yes, you're going to be focusing on dodging attacks, dodging roars, dodging pretty much everything that's going to make it, make you vulnerable. And the invulnerability window is pretty damn noticeable, so it's really, really nice. This is how I'm just surviving. And right now, currently, I'm able to finish hunts in about 6 to 10 minutes, depending on like what I'm trying to accomplish. I hate quoting hunt times because I feel like, at least in Monster Hunter Wilds with the part breaking mechanic, you're more focused on trying to get more parts. I think it's better to break more parts to get more resources than it is to just kill the monster fast. That's just how I feel right now, but obviously when you get to the end game, you're like super min-maxing. Killing is probably going to be more effective there, and so hunt times don't really matter to me personally, but for those who are wondering, on average I can kill anywhere between 6 and 10 minutes most monsters. But yeah, I like getting resources, so that can vary heavily. Now, in order to get this talisman, you're going to need to do 2 things. First, you need to kill the Harabami. This is the annoying pack monster. I think my the tip I can give you, the biggest tip I can give you is simply make sure you have flash pods, make sure you have traps, and I mean, that's pretty much it. He's actually pretty easy. Oh, make sure you have dung pods so you can get them away, because they tend to have, they tend to be in a pack. And where I farm them for the most part is in the cliffs. They seem to spawn in the cliffs much more than any other area. So yeah, just go there and face off against the Harabami. The claw is the hardest thing to get. The way I got the claws were just breaking the tail, and that was giving me the claws the most. So focus on part breaking the tail, and if you're using this build with part breaker, it's very easy to break their parts, so it works out really well. And that's kind of the idea behind the build, trying to make it easy for you. The other thing is you're going to need herbivore carapace, I think it's called. The way I found it specifically was I just went into the Windward's Plain, and in the Windward's Plain, you'll notice there's just a bunch of herbivores there. The way I got it was just killing the stegosaur looking ones. I mean, they look like ankylosaurs, stegosaurs, a combination. I don't know if you guys know dinosaur stuff, but the ones you're seeing on screen, just kill those. if someone knows a more effective way, because this took me like 10 minutes of killing these guys to get 5 of them, then you can just come over to Gemma and she can just build it for you. There you have it, guys. That is my starter evasive focus build that should help you kind of just get off the ground when you jump into high rank. Unfortunately, I didn't provide nearly as much footage as I generally do when I make build videos like this. The footage looks so damn bad, I just don't feel comfortable putting it in my video. I don't want the quality of the video to be lower than it already is, but I can't do anything about it. This is just out of my hands. In future videos, if I can get the performance in a good place, or we can probably get it on GeForce Now. GeForce Now doesn't have it either for some reason. Maybe we can start adding more footage to the gameplay. But yeah, unfortunately, you're just gonna have to try my best. But thank you guys for watching. Sorry again, and hopefully you enjoyed the build. Have a good one, guys.